Welcome, everyone, to 24/7 Sports. I am Tom Loy alongside the 105 guys. We've got Director of Scouting Andrew Ivins and National Analyst Cooper Patagna. Signing day is right around the corner, so we're looking at 2025 recruiting classes all across the country and bringing you guys a look at the soon-to-be signees. We're going to hit some superlatives and state our take on a lot of these prospects. Today, we are looking at Penn State. The Nittany Lions have the number 15 ranked recruiting class in 2025. And there are 25 commits set to play for head coach James Franklin. Andrew, we'll start with you. Early draft pick potential. Who do you got? A guy that's got elite traits now and somebody who could find himself called in the first round of the NFL draft down the road.
Jaden Woods is the name for me, our number 7 edge rusher, number 75 overall player. Love the fit, him going to Penn State. You look at what they've done at that position over the years. And what's crazy when you watch Jaden Woods, what he has done over the years in high school, he reminds me of Abdul Carter, the star pass rusher right now for the Nittany Lions. And if you go back and you watch Abdul Carter in high school, he's also playing off-ball linebacker, very similar to what Jaden Woods is doing at this stage. Jaden Woods, the athlete, this is a kid that was on my freaks list, 41.1-inch vertical jump. He's got a 97 explosion score, according to the folks at NextGen. To me, the biggest thing with him, it's going to come down to adding some pass rushing moves to that menu for him and learning how to get after the quarterback. I think he's got all the athletic juice to do just that, and he's going to the perfect place to develop him in Penn State.
I, too, have Jaden Woods, but since Drew had such a thorough evaluation, I'll go with somebody else. I'll go with Malachi Goodman out of Paramus Catholic. And this is a guy that's playing tackle right now. I think long-term we see as more of a guard. Penn State has done a tremendous job on the offensive line. We've seen Cooper Cousins play a little bit this year. They've recruited that position well. I like Malachi Coleman. I like the mold of what he is. When you think about the athlete, the way that he kind of moves, and then he's got a mature game physically too, not afraid to really kind of put a hat on a hat and then get to the second level and finish. We're going to get to see him in San Antonio. For these guys playing in those parts of the country, especially the Northeast, this is really kind of an important evaluation point for a guy like Malachi Goldman, and was for Cooper Cousins. You know, it became easier for us to kind of sign off and get the validation that we got from that live exposure. So I'm looking forward to him. Obviously, we think very highly of him as a top 100 prospect in the country. I think he's got a chance to kind of show his mettle, take another leap here in January.
I'm going to go with a different person as well. I'm going to go with cornerback Darius Dixon. I love what he brings to the table from a physical standpoint. He's day one ready. I just think he's a guy that's going to grow into an outstanding corner in the years to come. Really, really good get for Penn State. Day one impact, Cooper, a guy who's going to see the field early and often. Who do you got?
Well, that was my guy, Darius Dixon. And you look at modern day in California, the guys coming out of there, Xavier Brown, a prime example this past year, a former 5-star for us. And Darius Dixon, a little bit different in terms of the mold. Obviously, I think some more question marks in terms of the speed, but the physicality and the length is kind of where he really overcompensates. And he has a game that is fit to play in the Big Ten, match up against these bigger body receivers. I think he's kind of perfect. Perfect when you talk about guys you're going up against like Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tates of the world, bigger physical guys. Darius Dixon is going to be the type of guy that you would match up with those type of physical presence. So I like Darius Dixon. And Tom, you alluded to the fact that he's one of the more polished corners in the country. I stand by that as well. So even though he's going to a very talented room at Penn State where he won't have to step on the field early, that won't be the expectations. I expect this to be a guy to push for playing time.
I also have Darius Dixon written down here. You guys stole all my notes. I think when you look at the class, he is one of the guys that is technically buttoned up, ready to go. You said it, Cooper, what he has done there at Mater Day. I mean, you look at the past 2 seasons, 16 pass breakups, 4 interceptions, and the number that jumps out to me, 8.5 tackles for loss for a guy that's playing on the outside. You said it. This kid is built to play in the Big Ten. I think for him in Los Angeles, and we're talking about the new look of this conference. I mean, this is Penn State taking advantage of that new conference footprint. He really fits what they want to do on the defensive side of the ball. The other thing, too, it was hard to find an impact guy, and I think that's speaks to how James Franklin has built this roster. You go up and down the 2 deep, they are well stocked at key premium positions, and there's not like an immediate spot. I think wide receiver is the one that comes to mind. And I think if you're a Penn State fan, you're hoping that, hey, maybe one of these individuals can come in and make some noise as a freshman. I'm not ready to stamp any of those guys. I like Lyric Samuel, who they have out of New York, but it's still, to me, that remains a big question mark for Penn State.
I was going to go with Darius Dixon back to back, but didn't want to, and I wanted to shake it up a little bit. So I went with linebacker LeVar Arrington Jr., a 2025 Navy All-American. A lot to like about his game. Excited to see him in San Antonio, so hopefully I can back this one up there. But he's athletic, moves well, can rush the passer. He's strong, obviously has great genetics. A lot to like there. Ivan, to go back to you for boom or bust. An intriguing talent, might outperform or even underachieve his current ranking. Kind of a mystery. Who do you got?
It's Penn State. I think you got to go with a tight end here, just given what they've done at that position over the years. Jeff Exenor, he's listed as graded out as an athlete for us, number 15 athlete, 4-star, 90 outside the top 247. When we were going through our midseason update, one of the most exciting watches to date when we're talking about mid-skill players. I've done a complete 180 on Jeff Exenor. Saw him on the camp circuit. I was like, I don't really know what he is. I'm all in now. I think he's a supercharged H-back that can eat up yardage and catch and run situations. He's also getting some snaps here during his senior season as a quarterback and a safety. And you can't sleep on the athlete. 4.65 in the 40-yard dash at 217 pounds with a 4.33 in the short shuttle. He also had some mid-major college basketball offers, and I think that shows up in his pass-catching ability, really good body control, spatial awareness. So Jeff Exenor, for me, I can see him going to Penn State where they love that 12 and 13 personnel, and I could see him making a ton of noise.
All right, this one hurts me, but I'm going to go with LeVar Arrington. And obviously, you think about the roots of LeVar Arrington and stepping in the footsteps of his father. And this is a guy that has really kind of surged up our board. You think about him from a physical standpoint, 6'3.5", over 200 pounds, ran 11.18 in the 100. So a guy that's really physically gifted. I kind of want to know, where's he going to end up positionally? I think a lot of us think naturally he's going to be a second-level defender. He's going to have to play in space. But in high school on Friday nights, this guy has made a living predominantly off the edge. So what is that going to look like? Is it going to be a situation like Abdul Carter, or maybe they go back and forth? Maybe it's a little bit circumstantial in terms of how you use him off the edge. That being said, this is a guy that kind of reminds me a little bit of a guy ranked as a 5-star some years back in Justin Flo that we recruited at Oregon. A little bit stiff, a guy that's more A to B on a straight line linear path than he is kind of playing in space. So I'm really, really curious to kind of see what his role is once he gets to Penn State and kind of how James Franklin plans on using him.
I'm going to go with edge rusher Deshaun Burnett. And I talked to some people from my time in Western Pennsylvania that are very close to him, watched him grow up since middle school. And they are adamant that this kid is going to be a star in college and are confident he's got an NFL future ahead of him. I'm a little torn. I could absolutely see him achieving all those things, but I just don't know 100%. I kind of wish I could see him more in person, but I'm excited to see how he pans out. But regardless, I like the get for the Nittany Lions. Cooper, go back to you for Diamond in the Rough, a 3-star prospect who potentially could see himself playing in the NFL. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Matt Henderson out of Virginia. This is a guy that we've had a lot of debate on whether or not he was going to have a 4-star, whether he's going to be a top 247 guy. He's pretty interesting. Got a negative wingspan, so you kind of question the growth potential a little bit. Ran in the low 4.8s, but in terms of the football player, we like him a lot. And you're talking about a program that has a long lineage of developing tight ends. Does he have the upside of a Luke Reynolds or Andrew Apple? Yeah. No, he does not. That's not who he is. Does he have the upside of a Jeff Exenor? No. But this is a complementary piece that I think could be a second tight end, third tight end, especially for a team that likes to play with 2 tight ends and 12 personnel. So Matt Henderson, I think, is a guy that eventually will make a nice little living at Penn State and kind of fits in to what Penn State wants to do at that position.
I'm going to go with cornerback Xavier Thomas. I think I'm higher on this kid than anyone else in the industry, but he is a true box checker for me. 2-way snaps, brother plays in the NFL, nice track and field profile, making plays in all 3 phases as a senior for a respected high school program in Pittsburgh's Central Catholic. He's a tad on the smaller side, but I think he's the ideal nickel on Saturdays because he's quick-footed and he can stick with anyone in the slot on the outside. In 9 games as a senior, 7 receiving touchdowns, 3 punt return touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He took one of those to the house for 6 points. I love me some Xavier Thomas. I think he's going to be a star one day for Penn State.
I'm going to go with linebacker Alex Tash. Always liked the kid. He's a thumper. He's smart, got a fearless edge to him. Just plays violent. Just so much to like about him. I think he's going to have a very good career in State College. But that wraps it up. As I said before, we're going to hit a ton of schools leading up to December's early signing period. But for Andrew Ivins and Cooper Patagna, I am Tom Loy. As always, stay locked. 247sports.com.